So, when you did the tank, were you just sitting there and thinking, this isn't big enough?
No.
Where you want it?
Bay 12, please.
When we did the tank, we said, oh, the Thunder Tank's awesome. People are going to love it. And people did.
Where are they going to park it?
Well, look, there is no place on God's green earth that has enough space or people with enough revenue, maybe there is, where you could actually drive that out from under the paw. So we're not going to even go there. But, you know, even while Thunder Tank was being made, people were asking us, when's Cat's Lair coming? When's Cat's Lair coming? When's Cat's Lair coming? And it's like, I can't even think about Cat's Lair until we deliver the Thunder Tank. And make sure people are happy with the Thunder Tank. And I think once they got the Thunder Tank and they're like, oh my God, this thing is huge and heavy. Like, this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then people were psyched out. It is a beast. And then it was like, okay, now we can seriously start talking about whether or not there's still demand for Cat's Lair. And everybody was like, all right, next is Cat's Lair, next is Cat's Lair, next is Cat's Lair. So next is Cat's Lair.
Cat's Lair!
And I think we may be pushing the level of acceptability. But there's a certain point where there's certain ratios, there's certain looks that you need to be able to have. And with Lion-O and the Cat's Lair, like, you need to be able to have a certain level of proportion. Like, if the rest of the Cat's Lair was this big around him, it would feel diminutive. Like, especially on the backside as we built out the play set, all the things that you wanted to do, it just begats itself to having to be a certain size. And it's a little preposterous, it's a little ridiculous, but it's also a whole lot awesome. And so that's really where it came down to, is like, let's make the best version of this playset that we can that does everything that you want it to do within reason. Even though at one point it does feel like we left reason behind.
Well, but it's really cool to see the play sets to go with our figures like we had when we were smaller. You know, now that we've grown up and our collectibles have grown up with us, and a big part of that is due to you guys doing your Ultimates line and really focusing on that. Okay, they had the cool Lion-O figure when they were a kid, and yeah, he could swing his arms, and yeah, he had the sword, but now he can really move his arms. Now he can really hold the sword, and now he's got to have the Cat's Lair to go in it. Yes. You know, it's only natural that we would have a big play set to go with our big, awesome collectibles to show off. Because at the end of the day, we want to take our friends into our man cave, and we want to show off our collection and go, hey, look what I got, and show off that big Cat's Lair right there at the center of the table.
Well, the whole point is, when you see this stuff, you're supposed to be excited. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to just literally look at it and imagine, like, oh my God, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Like, it should bring you that level of joy. And, you know, if we go back to the old days and we do the wavy lines on the screen and we talk about where we ended with Masters on Snake Mountain, it was that penultimate play set. And so now we're in Thundercats, and I'm not saying we're at the end of Thundercats because we're not, but it is now. It's like, okay, we've done the vehicle, we've done the Electrocharger, then you got the Thunder Tank, now it's Cat's Lair. And this is the Cat's Lair playset that I think is that thing. If you're that Thundercats collector, this is everything you've ever dreamed of, and hopefully a little bit more.
When I see this, and I look back on some of the other awesome playsets you guys have done, what goes on in my mind is, I can't wait to see the Cobra Death Sphere in this showcase next year.
I don't think you're going to see the Cobra Death Sphere in this case next year.
No, it's got to be the Mirage.
It's
got to be the Mirage.
It's got to be the Mirage. There's a lot of options, but there is also a limit. Sure. There's only so many of these we can do, and only so many fast. Look, I am fully aware that this is not an inexpensive item, and it's not something that everybody can get. And there's a lot of people that will get it. A lot of people using the 12-month payment plan that we have or whatever, which is great, plug. But you can't just keep pumping these out and expecting me to drop $650. There's a limit. So, with all of this stuff, even with the waves of Ultimates, we try to be very cognizant about how often we're going to that customer, how often I'm asking them to spend the money. I want to pace this along so we can do this for a while. Like, it should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. Can I not do this? Can I not afford this? Because we're not the only thing that you collect. I know you collect other stuff. So let's be reasonable about what we're doing and how often we're doing it.
That's the best way I think anybody has ever put that. I honestly can't think of anybody else who's come anywhere close to that kind of mindset where you not only care about the consumer getting the product, but you're also conscious of the consumer's budget as well.
Yeah, look, these are not inexpensive toys. And we all only have so much money to go around. So for me to sit here and pour this is working, make more, make more, make more, there's really only so much you can do before you can't collect it anymore, or it gets too hard. If you make the toys too hard to get and they sell out within minutes or hours, that's no longer fun. If you have to go to the secondary market and pay a small fortune to get something that came out last week, that kills all the enjoyment out of this. I realize it doesn't maybe make my secondhand prices go up or make me cool that way, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you something you can love having. I want everybody that wants this toy to be able to have a chance to get it. That's why we do the month-long pre-orders. It's like, you've got a month. Like, take your time. If it doesn't work this paycheck, maybe it works next paycheck. If you want to buy our toys, we'll give you ample time to get them.
And that's really awesome, and that's more than fair. And not only do you have awesome toys like the Cat's Lair, but you also have awesome toys like the Thundercats themselves and more. And right here, I see we have some examples of some of the Thundercats Ultimates, and I understand these ones up here on this top shelf are coming very soon.
Yep, they are test shots. The top wave here, they're all test shots. These are first paint samples. Some of them look really great, like Rataro and Mongor are looking amazing. Willa, none of her flesh is painted yet. Her face isn't painted. Same thing with Snarf. His feet and hands aren't painted, so they don't look quite right. Ghost Jaga's getting really close, but his cape's not final. But, it's like we're showing you the process as we're moving through it. And then we've got prototypes showing off on 8 and 9 here. So just, this is where we're at. This is what's going on. Super fun stuff, though. Could you have imagined, maybe I'm saying this wrong, but could you have imagined that we would have gotten this deep already on Thundercats in this day and age without any media around it? And there's still so much more to do.
I can only hope the same thing happens to Silverhawks.
I can only hope that we get to the same place with Silverhawks as well. I'm trying my best.
And then, of course, Tiger Sharks would have to be next after that,
yeah,
right?
Tiger Sharks.
I mean, you can't just stop at 2 of the 3.
No, you cannot.
Ruh-roh.
Oh boy. Well, stay tuned for maybe a Tiger Shark announcement.
I think I actually already said it in a different podcast. January of 24.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
There you go. January of 24, you'll be looking at Tiger Sharks.
All right then. All right.
So you
then.
can fill out the entire universe.
That universe. There's still other universes you guys are filling out, like Transformers and G.I. Joe.
I heard you like Transformers.
You did you? I don't know if I might have mentioned it.
Maybe.
I might also be wearing one of the Transformers shirts you can get from Super 7.
Yes.
If not at the booth, on super7.com. And they'll ship it right to you, along with that really cool G.I. Joe shirt right there. I really like that one a lot.
It's true.
This really cool Cobra shirt right
from
here.
The pop-up.
And there's more, which we will go over. We'll pan over that stuff for you guys so you can see that stuff. Probably while I'm talking about it right now, you're looking at it.
Right now, everybody's just going like, why are you guys talking and not showing me stuff? Like, can you please just show me stuff?
I like stuff.
You like stuff?
I like stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for stuff.
I think we all like stuff. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
We're at StuffCon 2023. San Diego StuffCon. It's fairly accurate. Oh, ironically, the first shirt to sell out, maybe, you know, we always have our predictions, but the first shirt to sell out at Comic-Con this year was this Camp Snoopy Beagle Scout shirt.
How interesting.
You never know what
I
it's
never
gonna
would have
be.
guessed that.
You never know.
I would have guessed something, maybe one of the Godzilla shirts, especially that one right there. The He's Thirsty for Blood.
Yeah, the
that
Art Adams
is
version.
so gnarly and cool.
Yep.
Or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles SpaghettiOs shirt.
It's
That one
clearly not
was really cool too.
SpaghettiOs. No.
Oh, right.
TM.
Right. The
Trademark, registered
pasta,
trademark.
pasta,
Yeah,
circle-ish,
Chef Mommy B. Yes. It's
shaped
Yes.
in some kind of sauce.
Pasta-esque.
Yeah, something like that.
Pasta-esque.
Something.
Dinner in a can.
There we go.
There we go.
There
Dinner
we
in a
go.
can.
Dinner in a can. I'm down with that. But you also have things like the 3/3/4 range of reaction figures that
Yes.
a lot of fans love, and I'm super obsessed with too and collect like
Yes.
crazy. And then you also have gone up into these larger figures, the Super Cyborgs.
Super Cyborgs, ironically, the Super Cyborgs have been around for a few years, but they're extremely popular. Every time we make one, they do really, really well. And I'm not saying that in a weird way. It's like the demand for cyborgs is really strong. And it seems to be, at least from my perception, is while there are a lot of toy collectors that buy it, it's that level of display piece that a lot of people that are more generalist toy collectors that like to have a few but really cool things get really into the cyborgs. So the Cyborg Megatron we had made previously, and there was all this demand for another Megatron. And so what we came back with is did it in metallics, did it with the blue inside of the legs instead of the red, like the Japanese Goodbye Megatron box set that they made. So that's a whole homage to the Japanese Goodbye Megatron with the blue legs instead of the red legs. And it's metallic, so it's different than the original Megatron that we made. So if you're the collector that bought the original Megatron, I'm not cheapening the thing you already have.
Right. Or if anything, if they're a completionist, they're gonna go, oh man, they did another Megatron. Well, looks like I have to get that one to go
Yeah.
with this one.
And for those that don't know, the cyborgs are fully articulated action figures, but you can take off the chest, sometimes arms and legs panels to see all the robotic insides. So you can move it and play with it and then take the parts off and see the robot inside.
Now I gotta
Robots in disguise. Totally different. There you go.
I gotta say, with your Super Cyborg line, one of the ones that caught me off guard and one of the ones I thought was the absolute coolest, and I'm not even like a deep cut Power Rangers fan. I'm aware of Power Rangers. I've always thought it was cool, but it's not something I ever really got into, is the Cyborg Megazord you guys did,
Yes.
where you take the chest off and you see the Rangers there
Yes.
on the bridge. That was one of the coolest things I've
Yes.
ever seen when it comes to Power Rangers.
Well, obviously that's a distortion that we made to make the toy make sense, because technically the bridge is inside the
Right,
head.
it's in the head.
But in that case, we moved the bridge inside of the chest to kind of, you know, to have the feel of how you remember it. Like, oh, when you see inside of the robots, here's the guys and they're driving it and everything. We got a little bit of flack for technically being inaccurate at
Sure.
that point, but the rest of it is accurate.
it's still really cool.
But that's the thing, it's a great toy. And that's the thing, it's like, my job is to make great toys.
Right.
And you want to play with them, and you want to have fun with them. So that's really where I try to focus the stuff on. I try to be obviously as accurate and correct as possible, because that's the nerds that we are. But at the same time, we're trying to have fun with this and make these wonderful toys that you also have wonderful playability with. They're not simply statues.
Yeah. And look, I get statue collecting. There's nothing wrong with statue collecting, and some statues really blow my mind, but at the end of it, I want to play with it.
Well,
And
yeah.
and you know who you are. You know you like to play with it too. Let's stop posting on Facebook and say, this is the thing I'm messing with today. Come on, we already know it. We know what you're doing. You don't have to tell us.
I thought you were about to jump into this whole thing of like playing with it. Like, we know you're playing with it.
Oh,
Like,
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that too.
It's like, this is taking a turn for the worst real quick. We don't want to, because you act, I think the phrase immensely, we'll go back and rewind it. Or I think it just says, you take it out and play with it. And I was like, wow, we went there. All right.
I guess that's where we're at now.
That's where we're at now. So now we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back. We're going to roll it all out.
The point is, at the end of the day, yes, we're all about making cool toys and knowing that when you're putting them together, you're conscious in the mindset of wanting to see what's fun.
Yeah.
How would somebody else like to articulate this? Okay, well, if his elbows should move like this, then they should really move like that.
Yeah.
And you see that especially in your Ultimates.
Yes.
And that's what's so great about the Ultimates is they're a wonderful opportunity for fans who had toys that might have been a little bit more obscure, like Silverhawks, for example. Yes, there's the fans who really love Silverhawks because they hopped on the bandwagon at the right time. It showed up on their screen at the right time, and they're the ones who remember and love and played with Silverhawks. But there's also a lot of people out there who didn't know this thing existed. Yes. And those fans are super happy because now they really do have that Quicksilver the way they imagined him to come off of screen, because back in the day, toy companies could only do so much.
Well, yeah, I mean, the vintage Silverhawks line is a beautiful line of toys. So that's a really good example of a great toy, especially of the age. Most people that collect Silverhawks did not really watch the animation. They had the toy. And I think, I could be wrong, we could all look back at the data at some point, but I'm fairly certain that it wasn't a huge hit. And so they overproduced the toys. The toys ended up at discount toy retailers like a KB and other places. Kids went in there with their mom, they got a less expensive toy, but that less expensive toy happened to be this beautiful vac metal cool thing. And so a lot of people are like, oh, that is what they really respond to, because that's their Silverhawks, is the physical toy.
I still have my original Quicksilver and Copper Kid.
Yeah.
And Bluegrass.
Yeah. And that's what's, when we started it, like, vac metal, we tried to make, it did not work. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we spent 18 months figuring out how to make vac metal actually work on an action figure. But that's when we came back and said, let's make these things look like the cartoon. Let's make them match the cartoon, no different than we did with Thundercats or Masters or what we're doing with G.I. Joe. It looks like it walked off screen into your collection. And that's where we started with Silverhawks. And now, where we are with Thundercats is we had just done a line of LJN-inspired colorways that were very toy-centric, and that got a huge response from the fans because it did, while they loved this other stuff that felt like it watched off TV, there was a thing too, a visceral thing of like holding this in my hand that all of a sudden I'm 8 years old again. And so that was why Wave 4 that comes out in August on Silverhawks is all toy-centric. And then we had finally gotten to the point where we've gotten vac metal that can work on an articulated figure without breaking and chipping, which was an immense struggle, to say the least. But it's that same thing. Like, I want to make great toys. I want people to have fun with this. I want them to see them, be excited, and imagine all the things they're going to do with it. And if you're not having fun collecting this stuff, then why are we all doing it?
I don't think there's a better way to end it than right there.
That's right. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
guys.
taking the time with us. Thank you for bringing such awesome toys out to show us. And we can't wait to play with them. So we're going to be getting to that here pretty soon. Guys, stay tuned. We have a couple reviews coming up. We will be reviewing the new Super Cyborg Goodbye Megatron, as well as the Super Cyborg Snake Armor Cobra Trooper. And we will be reviewing both of those. So stay tuned for those reviews, guys. Those will be up soon, sometime in the next week after this video. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. It's game over, man.
Game over from San Diego Comic-Con.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.